produced nothing really, because soon after those talks, Russia was back striking Ukraine, something that Donald Trump is clearly not happy about. He had boasted earlier of being able to end wars quickly, even as he was campaigning for the presidency. That didn't happen when it came to Russia and Ukraine. He was not able to leverage this relationship that he said he had with Putin. So now we're seeing a change where the president said that he actually thinks Ukraine is in a position to win it all back. A really big change, and it really shows the frustration that the president has now with the current situation, where he hasn't been able to crack the code in ending this war, his frustration with Russia. And he also expressed a lot of frustration towards the European Union, saying that they need to stop buying Russian oil. In his address to the United Nations General Assembly, which went on for about an hour, he again indicated that he thinks India and China are funding the war by importing Russian oil. And India has already said earlier that it needs that oil. In fact, they think that importing the Russian oil also helps the oil markets overall. In fact, some of that oil, which is imported by Russia and then imported by India and refined in India, then finds its way to the United States. Anyway, that's a lesser known fact. So going back to Donald Trump, a change in tone, a real effort by him to put further pressure on Russia, also threatening powerful sanctions possibly in the future. How this really impacts the Russian side remains to be seen, but for now, definitely a very probably pleased Ukrainian President Zelensky, who met with Donald Trump here in New York the same day as Trump's address in New York on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly.
And in what's going viral, US President Donald Trump appeared to laugh it off Tuesday when an escalator and a teleprompter both malfunctioned during his UN visit. But for the US officials, this was no laughing matter. The White House has called for an investigation, believe it, into what the moving stairway was stopped on purpose. Take a look.
And I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter, because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
We stay with the US, where Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif met US President Donald Trump on Wednesday. Now, this meeting was on the sidelines of the high-level 80th session of the underway United Nations General Assembly, or the UNGA, in New York. The meeting happened during a gathering of Arab Islamic leaders hosted by Trump and the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. Now, reports also indicate that Pakistan PM and US President will hold a one-on-one bilateral meeting at the White House in Washington, D.C. on the 25th of September. My colleague Vishal Vivek joins us for more on this. Vishal, why is there no official statement that has come out from either side? Is it safe to say or consider in this case that this was just another photo op for Sharif and for Trump?
That seems to be it, Arjun, and it also seems to be a precursor to the main meeting that is supposed to happen tomorrow on September 25th. Many in the Pak media had already reported that both the leaders will be meeting on September 25th on the sidelines of the UNGA, and that is what is expected to happen. What the Pak Foreign Ministry has officially said about this, quote-unquote informal meeting is that it's exactly that. It's an informal meeting. So there are no official releases as to what was discussed. It just seemed to be, Trump engaging with both the leaders of the Pakistani side for a few seconds after the big meet with the Arabian leaders. There was nothing big discussed, as we have seen in the reports and from what we have gathered. But we'll surely have some updates when the big meeting between both the leaders happen tomorrow. That is when the main meeting is supposed to happen. And also some reports indicate that the Pak Army Chief Asim Munir could also be there. That would also be one of the biggest updates of on the sidelines of the UNGA. What is discussed in that meet will be followed by international media. So we'll have to wait for that. But we've seen in the recent past that many from the US and the Pakistani administration have been meeting repeatedly in the wake of Operation Sindoor, sort of signifying that their ties have solidified in the wake of that big operation. So we'll have all of that in the next in the next 24 hours when the big meet happens.
Well, thank you for getting us the latest there, Vishal. Moving on, but staying with the UNGA, French President Emmanuel Macron has said that Donald Trump cannot win the Nobel Peace Prize unless he ends the war in Gaza. Now, speaking in New York, Macron argued that only the US has the leverage to pressure Israel since Washington supplies its weapons. While Trump, meanwhile, while addressing the UN, rejected calls for Palestinian statehood, but insisted he wants peace. Here's more.
Why yesterday 11 countries did recognize Palestine? Not as, I mean, it was not a decision taken like that, neither by UK, nor by Canada, nor by France. It's just a big change. President Trump is totally right. Nobody forgets the 7th of October. I went there a few days after.
Well, after announcing a new 100,000 H-1B visa dollar fees, the Trump administration has now proposed overhauling the visa's lottery selection process to prioritize higher paid and higher skilled foreign employees. We get you more.
Trump administration's proposal to replace the random H-1B lottery with a wage-weighted system could fundamentally reshape how global talent flows into the US economy. In effect, an engineer offered $150,000 at Meta might now have multiple lottery entries, while a junior developer at a startup earning $70,000 might only get one. This tilts the system towards established companies that can pay at the top of the market and away from emerging firms that rely on younger talent. Over time, the rule doesn't just influence who secures a visa. It could accelerate a shift towards a more senior, higher paid tech workforce and redefine how America competes globally.
Stay with the US, where Jimmy Kimmel returned to the late-night television on Tuesday, nearly breaking down as he addressed his controversy that led to the suspension to begin with. Fighting back tears, Kimmel insisted he never intended to make light of Charlie Kirk's murder. He also added that he was not blaming any group, but acknowledged his remarks may have felt ill-timed or unclear. Now, Kimmel's emotional statement comes as his show resumes amid a heated debate over free speech in America. Meanwhile, here's what Kimmel said.
I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight, and the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it. I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make, but I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. Ever. And also, selfishly, I am a person who gets a lot of threats. I get many ugly and scary threats against my life, my wife, my kids, my coworkers because of what I choose to say. And I know those threats don't come from the kind of people on the right who I know and love. So that's what I wanted to say on that subject.
We shift our focus eastwards now, where at least 14 people were killed when a decades-old lake barrier burst in Taiwan. A government official said Wednesday. Now, this after super typhoon Gaza pounded the island with torrential rainfall. Gaza lashed the northern Philippines and Taiwan on Monday with heavy rain and strong winds, forcing thousands to evacuate altogether. Now, the barrier lake in eastern Hualien County burst Tuesday, washing away a bridge and also sweeping into a town. U.S. Special Envoy for Syria Tom Barak has said that Syria and Israel are close to a de-escalation pact. Israel would halt strikes if Syria keeps heavy equipment away from the border. Talks continue meanwhile on the sidelines of the UNGA, which is currently underway. The Trump administration is pressing for a breakthrough, but mistrust lingers after decades of hostility and recent clashes. Over in Europe, the Norwegian police are probing a blast in downtown Oslo near a university campus and just blocks away from the Royal Palace and the Israeli embassy. Officers later conducted a controlled detonation of a secondary explosive device described as a military-style grenade. One suspect has already been detailed. Meanwhile, police suspect criminal motives but are not ruling out other possibilities as well. This incident, meanwhile, comes a day after reports of drone sightings near Oslo's and Copenhagen's airports. The Pentagon has disbanded its long-running advisory committee on women in the armed forces. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth accused the panel of pursuing what he calls and terms a divisive feminist agenda. The committee had shaped recruitment, retention and policy for decades. However, critics warned that the decision could erode progress for women in uniform as the Pentagon also restricts media access. Well, it's time we slip into a short break. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Rajasthan is history, culture, and much more. And I have been reporting on all things royal for more than 25 years.
The colors, the culture, and the complexities of the Northeast is different from the rest of the country. I have been bringing the Northeast closer to the capital for over 15 years.
Madhya Pradesh is the heart of India, and I have been capturing its every beat for over 10 years.
Covering the corridors of power, what is said, what is left unsaid, and what it actually means for you and me. I have it all covered.
Kashmir is often called paradise on earth, a region that has been in a state of flux from conflict to India's crowning glory. I have been reporting and decoding Jammu and Kashmir for last 3 decades.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
Welcome back. You're watching the Wednesday edition of the World Report. On to updates from the world of business and technology, where Canadian privacy officials have said that TikTok collected sensitive data from hundreds of thousands of children despite claiming its platform is not for under 13 users. That's what the allegation is. Now, investigators found that the app used the information for targeted advertising. TikTok has now agreed to strengthen age verification, restrict ad targeting, and also improve transparency for Canadian users. Ottawa, meanwhile, joins governments worldwide scrutinizing the Chinese-owned app over data security and also child safety. Alibaba has unveiled its largest artificial intelligence model yet, the Qwen 3 Max, boasting over 1 trillion parameters. Now, announced at the company's annual Apsara conference, the model is optimized for coding and autonomous agent complications. CTO Zhao Jingen, meanwhile, said that the launch signals the company's determination to push China deeper into the AI race, challenging rivals like the US and even beyond. Over in the US, the Federal Aviation Administration, or the FAA as it's called, has issued a ground stop for all United Airlines flights at American and Canadian airports. It's citing a technical issue or a technical glitch. The halt remains in place until 0700 hours GMT. United Airlines is yet to comment on the matter. However, this comes just a month after a similar outage grounded flights across major US hubs, causing widespread delays. OpenAI, Oracle and SoftBank will build 5 new US data centers under the $500 billion Stargate project, launched with support, of course, from US President Donald Trump. The new facilities will expand capacity to nearly 7 gigawatts and also create 25,000 jobs. At least that's what being claimed. With China racing to catch up, Washington and its tech giants are pouring billions into AI infrastructure to power services like ChatGPT and Copilot. Meanwhile, Meta's Llama AI system will now be made available to US allies in Europe and even in Asia, just a day after Washington cleared it for government use. France, Germany, Italy, Japan, South Korea, NATO and the EU or the European Union are among those gaining the access. Llama can process text, images, videos and audio together, strengthening technological cooperation among democratic allies. India's assistant coach has said that pace spearhead Jasprit Bumrah is unlikely to be rested for the remainder of the Asia Cup. This comes despite a 2-match home series against West Indies starting early next month. Acclaimed Italian actor Claudia Cardinale, who starred in some of the most celebrated European films of the 60s and the 70s, has died. She was 87 years old. She starred in more than 100 films and made-for-television productions, but she was best known for embodying youthful purity in Federico Fellini's 8½, in which she co-stars with Marcello Mastroianni in 1963. Now, Cardinale also won praises for her role as Angelica Sedera in Luchino Visconti's award-winning screen adaptation of the historical novel The Leopard. That same year, in fact, and a reformed prostitute in Sergio Leone's spaghetti western Once Upon a Time in West, back in 1968. Well, that's all we have for you this Wednesday. Take care and have a wonderful day.
Now that retirement's here, it's time for me to focus on the things that really matter in life, like making sure my family can manage funeral costs when I'm no longer around. Which reminds me.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
No problem. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee, with 100% of claims having been paid. We guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK. UK residents aged 50 to 80 are guaranteed to be accepted. Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000.
That money could help cover my funeral costs or be a gift for my grandson. I'll do it.
Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free life insurance quote today, call our UK team on 0800 881 5090 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
If Lubasi was your son, you'd do anything to stop his suffering. He's in agony because he has an eye infection called trachoma. It's often spread by flies, like these. If Lubasi was your son, you'd take him to the doctor. But his parents can't afford to get him the care he so desperately needs. You can. When you give £2 a month to Sightsavers, you can help save more children from agony like this and spare their parents the pain of watching their children suffer. Every month, you'll help our eye doctors get to some of the world's poorest and most remote villages. It's so simple to treat trachoma, but we urgently need your support to do it. So please call 0800 038 4920, text Site10 to 82727, or go to sitesavers.tv to give £2 a month to Sitesavers right now.
Our first year as a family flew by. And now, I want to make sure he'll be financially protected for all his birthdays to come. That's why I'm calling Smart Insurance.
Hi, how can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote for family life insurance.
OK, you can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age.
That's great.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And could help my wife pay off the mortgage.
And with our Smart Family Guarantee, you'll have peace of mind.
That's good to know.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0808 141 5855 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
Captain Chakravarti, not one but two warships. That's amazing. You know, Vishnu and I, through our careers, have been to many commissionings. Vishnu a few more than me because he's slightly older than me.
He wants to rub that in. But that's just a side dig. Carry on with the...
Yeah, but two ships is incredible. I mean, that's, tell us why that is so significant. You know, the Indian Navy with its huge expanding responsibilities is hungry for more ships. So getting two ships at the same time is a bonus, isn't it, sir?
Yeah, of course. Like you said it yourself, the responsibilities are increasing. Indian Ocean is where the action is happening, and Indian Ocean is going to be the future playground for all the, not just the navies, the nations around the world. And Indian Navy, as the preferred security partner, is very active in this area. Given the responsibility and the large area that is, the number of assets is required. And that's the reason we are getting these warships. They're not just numbers, it's not just the quantity, it's the quality of these warships also, because they have high speed and they have got very large endurance and they can stay out at sea for long times. The frigates are very versatile ships to be. And so these two warships are going to add a punch, not just to the Eastern Naval Command, in particular, of course, Eastern Naval Command, but to the Indian Navy in general.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World. When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
Hello and welcome. I'm Arjun, Samar, Mahendran, and it's a packed Wednesday here at India Global. But first, the headlines. Trump administration proposes to scrap H-1B lottery system, floats new rules. We decode just how it will impact Indian applicants. Well, sources add that further talks are likely, with a deal expected sooner than later. India slamps Pakistan at UNHRC for bombing their own people in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, while misusing the international forum to hurl baseless and provocative accusations against New Delhi.